So, hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Runde Genshin Impact. Es tut mir leid, wenn ich ein bisschen verschnupft klinge, aber ja, die Pollenallergie kickt gerade anders rein. Und ja, ich habe beschlossen, mich heute in mein Zimmer einzusperren, weil draußen ist es einfach absolut unaushaltbar. Die Puls bei der 3.6 sind gut verlaufen, wie ihr seht. Ich habe jetzt Kaveh. Leider nicht so oft, wie ich ihn gerne gehabt hätte. Dafür habe ich jetzt Baiju. Wesentlich öfter, als ich ihn gerne gehabt hätte. Aber es ist egal. Ich habe Kaveh schon mal. Er ist auch schon Max Ascended. Mir fehlt noch ein bisschen was bei seinen Talenten. Ja, und Baiju wurde eigentlich mehr oder minder ein bisschen gebencht. Weil er sehr viel parallel brauchte zu Kaveh. Auf jeden Fall ist 3.6 jetzt rum. Das Akademie-Spektakel ist vorbei. Und wir sind jetzt hier in Sumeru, denn etwas ganz Neues ist gedroppt. Das neue Banner ist da. Mit einem neuen Charakter namens Kirara. Über die machen wir uns später Gedanken. Ist auch ein neuer Legendenauftrag für Yoimiya, der wahrscheinlich auch gespielt wird. Weiß ich aber noch nicht, weil ich habe den ersten ja auch noch nicht aufgenommen. Warum wir uns heute kümmern werden, ist hier Kavehs Einladungsereignis. Und ich werde das alles im Ganzen durchziehen. Also ihr habt dann hier gleich alle Enden. Bis gleich. Guck, da steht er schon. Hallo?
I've taken a look at your proposal. It's much better than the ones you showed me before, but I'd still like to make some changes.
Oh, come on, not again. Isn't this the 6th proposal I've shown you? What's your issue this time?
It's a bit hard to put into words, but the design still doesn't look quite right to me.
I have to say, that's a terribly vague and unconvincing explanation. Please enlighten me. What would feel more right to you?
For starters, don't you think this roof is jutting out a bit too far from the top? It looks almost like the head of a fungus. This door, too. I don't think it needs to be nearly this large. If you could reduce it to around my height, you could use the leftover materials to construct a few more rooms.
The roof and the door are the most fundamental parts of a building. If we were to change them, then what would be left of the design? Even if the soul of the building won't be lost, all traces of architectural style would be gone. Anyone with the slightest inkling of architectural knowledge would know to leave them alone.
Oh, I understand the principles of what you are saying, of course, but the truth remains that I'm still a bit unhappy with the design as is. Is there anything else that you can do? Oh, actually, I just got an idea. Can we get rid of all the extraneous sections on the roof, so the whole design will just be one vertical structure, similar to that of a tree trunk?
What?
Don't architects often say that symmetry makes everything more balanced and pleasing to the eye? This way, the proportions will be completely balanced.
I really don't know how you managed to come up with such a ridiculous idea. Wait, don't tell me. Someone hired you specifically to commission me and put me through the ringer? Come to think of it, though, I really don't think I've gotten on anyone's bad side recently. Anyway, that's it. I will not be working on this commission anymore. Goodbye. Maybe you can find yourself some other genius who'll be able to satisfy your demands.
Ansage ist
young
raus.
man, please wait.
Natürlich sofort in die Taverne. Kaveh sieht schlecht gelaunt aus. Ich folge ihm besser. Und ab in die Taverne. Oh nein! Oh nein, look at him.
Taking this commission was truly the worst decision ever.
Geht's dir gut?
Oh, hey, I wasn't expecting to run into you here. Actually, while we're on that, what are you doing here at the tavern? Don't listen to anyone who says that drinking is an elegant pastime. It's no good for your health.
Ich bin dir hierher gefolgt.
So you saw all that, did you? Ugh, I thought I was in the clear. I made sure to double-check that nobody I knew was around. Anyway, thanks for looking out for me. Honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. I'm used to it by now. Stress is just an inescapable part of being a working adult. Boss, I'll have a glass of wine. Same as last time. Do you want something too? I'll put it on my tab.
Ich wollte gerade sagen, Wein dürfen wir, glaube ich, nicht trinken. Ich hätte gerne einen Becher Saft.
Wine in a glass of juice, coming right up.
I know you're already keeping a secret from me, but if you could add this one to the list as well, I'd really appreciate it. Arguing with a client is not a good look for me. If word gets out, other potential clients might be afraid to work with me. That guy, though, what was he even going on about? All those ridiculous demands of his? He's just a blabbering fool trying to act like a know-it-all.
Kaveh scheint nach dem Glas Wein geradliniger zu sein.
Another glass, please, boss. I'm not leaving today till someone has to carry me out.
You've got it, sir. I gotta say, though, it almost feels like you're saying that every other day now.
It really is every other day that you'd run into a client who knows nothing about construction requirements or architectural style. If this was in the past, I'd never have gone through 6 whole drafts trying to accommodate the client's preferences. But perhaps getting used to this just means that I've grown numb to it. I've worked on so many projects since graduation, and none of them have been approved at the first pass. I would spend a lot of time altering my designs, and by the time the clients were finally satisfied, all my passion and enthusiasm would be gone. It feels like I'm straying further and further from my artistic vision with every change I have to make. I suppose, though, that just sticking to your guns and completely disregarding other people's feedback would also not be a good thing. All of this makes for a real paradox, one that particularly crops up in my work, too. In the end, what is the true meaning of art? Should I see it as a divine gift of inspiration from the gods? Or an expression of the light of my own wisdom?
Here's your drink. How are you already spouting nonsense after just one glass? Your tolerance is usually much better than that.
Er hat eine Existenzkrise,
Boss?
okay?
What do you think is the meaning of art?
The meaning of art? Really, my friend, who in Sumeru understands art better than you? Anyway, I don't know about art, but I do know that I'm interested in business, and some patrons are waiting to be served. So, you'll have to excuse me for now. Just holler if you need anything.
What do you think, traveler?
Hat er gerade gelallt? Hat er gerade gelallt? Naja, also etwas, das die Anstrengung und die Hingabe des Künstlers darstellt, maybe?
Exactly. So our thoughts on the meaning of art are rather similar. In Sumeru, and especially Sumeru of the past, the arts are not a popular discussion topic. Trying to talk about the arts is basically the key to killing any conversation. It's too bad that I'm not in my best form today. Otherwise, we could have talked about this for a little longer.
Kaveh sieht immer noch sehr geknickt aus und auch der Wein hat seine Stimmung nicht angehoben. Vielleicht sollte ich auf Nummer sicher gehen und ihm einfach einen Vorschlag unterbreiten. Lass uns etwas anderes machen, um den Kopf frei zu bekommen.
Sounds great to me. I don't even want to think about this project anymore. But what should we do? It's probably not a good idea to just drink until I pass out here.
Warum bist du Architekt geworden?
Huh? Where did that come from? I mean, it's not like it's some kind of secret. You probably already know some bits and pieces of my past. My mother is also an architect. I've always adored her drawings, and when I was young, I used to sit next to her and watch her bring all kinds of buildings to life on paper. You could say my interest in architecture just naturally grew with time.
Würde deine Mutter verstehen, wie du dich derzeit fühlst?
Perhaps. In fact, I have also seen my mother argue with her clients, but she would always quickly find the motivation to return to her work. Unfortunately, I've barely had any contact with her since she remarried and moved abroad. Even if I wanted to ask her about her ability to stay positive after an argument, it would seem rude to barge into her life again over something as trivial as that. I did remember something else, though. When my mother left, she only carried some small personal luggage with her. She left most of the belongings in the house to me. At the time, she even told me that it would be great if I could learn a few lessons from her life experiences, so my life and career could go a little more smoothly. I hadn't quite come to grips with my emotions, and didn't really have it in me to go through any sentimental items, so I just packed anything with memories away in a box and haven't reopened it since. It's been a really long time. Now that so many years have passed, maybe I have finally developed the maturity I need to face those memories without losing my mind. Yeah, I should dig it out and take a look.
Darf ich vielleicht mitkommen?
Huh? Sorry, I've had too much to drink and wasn't thinking clearly. You're right. I should do these kinds of things with the support of a friend. Speaking of that, I can call you a friend now, right? Either way, thanks for reminding me that I can invite you to come along. Had I just gone back by myself, it would have looked like I'm deliberately trying to keep things from you. Ugh, thinking too hard about the words is giving me a headache, so I'll just give it to you straight. Thanks to your advice, I have decided to put my current projects on pause for now, and spend some time trying to rekindle the passion for my craft. If you want to stick around and see how this will turn out, you'll be sure to encounter some bits and pieces of my past. Do you think you'd find that too boring?
Nee, überhaupt nicht. Alles gut. Ich freue mich so sehr, ne? Kavehs Story ist mit das Interessanteste für mich in ganz Genshin gerade.
All right, then let's head back together. I mean, you already know where I live.
Mhm.
Who knew that the day would come when I too would have some friends over? Let me see. I should have tidied up the place before I left the house this morning. Alhaitham shouldn't be home now either. He's usually in the records room at this time of the day. Anyway, there's no more time for drinks. I'll go take care of the bill.
Hast du genug Geld, um die zu begleichen? Okay, er ist schon weg. Ich dachte, ich krieg vielleicht noch eine lustige Konversation mit Lambert. Dann auf zu Alhaitham und Kavehs Haus.
Alhaitham isn't in, so feel free to sit wherever. I'll bring out the box.
Ich liebe deren Haus. Es ist so schön. Alles in Ordnung?
Oh, nothing. I just didn't realize how much time had passed. The box is pretty dusty, which means it's already been a while since I've moved into this place, and many years since my mother moved to Fontaine. I'm happy for her. I hope she'll be able to find happiness there. She raised me all by herself after my father passed away. It definitely wasn't easy for her. Anyway, enough about that. Let's see what I packed into this box. What are all these things?
Ist das eine Zeichnung? Vielleicht von Kaveh?
Oh, I remember now. This is a drawing I made in Port Ormos. Obviously, I wouldn't call it anything special now, but I was less than 5 years old when I made this drawing.
Was? Das sah voll
That's more
gut
than
aus.
20 years ago. You could say it's pretty good for a child of that age.
Ja.
Now that I've said that out loud, I suppose I do have some level of artistic talent, right?
Warum fragst du das?
Criticism and self-doubt have always been a part of the artistic process. Without criticism, there can be no improvement. It's normal for me to question my abilities from time to time. I admit that I may have spent a little too long questioning myself this time around, but as you know, the heart tends to dwell on whatever it pleases. Anyway, never mind. The more I talk about it, the less confident I feel. Let's see what else we have in the box.
Nein, nein,
Ah,
nein, nein,
my
nein.
building blocks. It's been years since I've last seen these. When I was a kid, I used to stack them super high and could even stabilize the tower to keep it from tumbling over. Oh,
Oh.
and this blueprint. I made it by copying my mother's sketch, and the aspect ratio was horrendous. It's still technically the first blueprint I made myself, though. I was super proud of myself when I finished it, and put it in the same pile as my mother's sketches, hoping she'd notice and compliment me for my good work. Unfortunately, my mother didn't realize that I had put it there. When she had a meeting with a client the next day, she handed my blueprint to him by mistake. The client was completely confused by this new blueprint, but apparently he felt too tongue-tied to question such a famous architect. It was only a few days later that he finally gathered up the courage to pay my mother a visit. He asked, "The door in this blueprint is even taller than the roof. Is this supposed to be part of the design?"
Und was geschah dann?
My mother took me with her to personally apologize to the client several times. She didn't scold me about it in private, though. Instead, she went over all the steps required to draw a good blueprint and was very
No.
patient throughout the whole process. I still remember it like it was yesterday. Let's see. Is there anything else left in this box? Huh. What was this again?
Ein Notizbuch mit einem Schloss?
Ah, this is my mother's notebook. She used to write and sketch in it all the time. When I was a child, I used to be super fascinated by this notebook, and always pestered my mother to let me read it. After asking her a few times, she told me that I could read it as long as I could guess the password. Huh. Wonder why she didn't take this notebook with her. Did she leave it to me on purpose?
Du könntest einen Blick hineinwerfen.
If only I could. I never managed to guess the password.
Du hast es all die Jahre nicht geknackt?
Hey, it's not a matter of time, it's a matter of inspiration. That's what we need to guess the password. Who knows? Maybe this time something will click in my head, and the answer will just present itself. Let me think. What could it be?
Dein Geburtstag vielleicht?
I could tell what you were thinking. Don't worry, I tried all the easy guesses a long time ago. I've tried my name, my father's name, my mother's name, my grandparents' names on both sides, and all of our birthdays. I've tried every name and number remotely related to my family. I've even tried stuff like love you Kaveh, take care, and yours truly. I've tried every cheesy phrase and well-wish in the book, but this lock has refused to budge. I wouldn't try that route again. I have a hunch that it won't be that simple. Also, if she really did use something like that, she'd never hear the end of it from the folks over at Haravatat if they ever found out.
Wir könnten ein paar ihrer alten Bekanntschaften fragen, oder wie wäre es, wenn wir das Ganze erst einmal beiseite legen? Nee, ich möchte wissen, was in dem Buch drin ist.
So we could find someone who was close to my mother and see if they might know anything? I see what you're saying, but who should we talk to for that? My mother was never really the one to be social. My father was the one with more friends, but all those connections were severed when he died. Let me think. Is there still someone at the academia who would know my mother? Ah, actually, there is someone. Professor Zaha Hadi.
Und wer ist das?
Huh, you've never really heard of her? She's a famous Gasharwar scholar and leading expert in formal garden design. My mother studied under her as a student many years ago. Professor Zaha Hadi published many works during her career, so I was able to learn a lot by studying her essays. If there's anyone who still remembers my mom, it'd be her. She's older now and is no longer teaching at the academia. But if I remember correctly, she spends most of her time around the Bimarstan area. Let's go take a look. We might run into her if we're lucky.
Los geht's! Oh, ich will nicht aus dem Haus raus, das ist so schön.
What am I supposed to do
Hallo?
now? Forget it. I'll just head back.
Tainari, what are you doing here?
Oh, it's you. Good to finally see you again. I came into the city to buy some experiment reagents, hoping to bring them back with me to Gandharvaville. But as soon as I got here, I noticed someone banging on Cyrus's door. You've all heard of Cyrus, right? He's an ex-sage and Cyno's adoptive father. I was thinking about going over to ask what's happening. That granny over there may appear old and frail, but her vocal cords certainly sound loud and healthy as ever.
Granny?
Yeah, she's just over there. You can go check out the situation yourselves in a moment. Kaveh, were you at the tavern?
I had a quick drink or two. Can you still smell the alcohol?
Drinking in broad daylight. Really? You want to pass out by the road and get run over by a sumpter beast like some mindless fungus, huh? And you, traveler? You didn't try to stop him? You look like a wreck, Kaveh. What happened? Are you feeling down again? You know what? I'm hosting a meal at Pardis Eye tomorrow evening. Do you want to come?
Oh,
Huh?
good friend.
Oh, I had no idea. Let me think for a moment. I'll come if I can find some time.
Oh, man merkt,
All right,
dass
then
Tenari
I'll plan on
einfach
reserving
richtig
2 seats for you.
supportive,
I'll be
unterstützender
heading
Mensch
back to
ist.
Gandharvaville for now. I have a feeling that argument over there is going to continue for quite some time. It might be best if we don't get involved.
A granny who lives nearby. Let's go take a look.
Es wäre wohl das Beste, sich da nicht einzumischen. Ja, lass uns mal nachsehen. Und ich frage mich, warum Kaveh die ganze Zeit irgendwelchen Ärger an der Backe hat.
Ha! So, plan on keeping yourself locked in there, huh? Fine by me. If you're not going to come out, then I'm not going to leave. My tomato was growing so well, it had all the potential to become the best tomato this year, and you cut it straight from the vine.
I already told you I had nothing to do with it. Why would I take a tomato that's still weeks from ripening? You'd have to be awfully green as an investigator to think it was me. You see, the word green here could refer to both the color of the tomato and the fact that your skills could use some.
Ja, ich weiß, woher Sino seine Witze hat.
Enough nonsense! Just come out and face me, you coward!
You're out of your mind. If I've actually done something wrong, then get a mantra and pull me out by force, why don't ya?
Oh, why you?
Kaveh, ist das die Dame, die wir suchen?
Professor Zahahadi?
And who are you? Oh, Kaveh. Fancy seeing you here. How long has it been? Come on, get over here and let the professor take a good look at you. Not bad, not bad. You've grown taller again.
Professor, what's going on here?
It's no big deal, really. A few of us old scholars got bored in our retirement and decided to put together a vegetable growing competition. At the end, whoever loses will have to go up on stage and do a performance for the winners. Which brings us to our current predicament. My tomato was sure to win until a certain someone decided they couldn't bear to lose.
Hey, don't try to defame me in front of the kids. If we're airing out each other's dirty laundry now, then why don't we talk about you sneaking into Janat's garden the other night?
Ahem! Lucky for you, seeing these youngsters come to pay their respects today has put me in a better mood. I'll let you off the hook, for now. Come on, let's go. We'll take our conversation elsewhere. He doesn't need to be a part of it.
Yes, of course.
Die scheinen sich ja bestens zu amüsieren, die alten Professoren. So.
Is Faranak still doing well?
Yes, as far as I know. She left for Fontaine some time ago and started a new life for herself. She's still doing work related to architecture, though.
Ah, yes. I did hear about that. Did that upset you at all?
No, not at all. She's already sacrificed a lot raising me as a single mother.
That's good to hear. Your mother did struggle quite a bit those few years. It's probably a good thing that she found a new place to call home. Sometimes I wonder if things were harder for her because she was so beautiful. People were always drawn to her beauty first, only to realize she had a sensitive and vulnerable heart underneath. She was still quite young when she first joined my class as a student. Beautiful and radiant with her golden hair, yet quiet and single-minded. She seemed like a lass from some aristocratic house who was seeing the outside world for the first time. She had to make a lot of drastic changes in her life to raise you on her own. Even during her time in the academia, she was a thorough perfectionist. If she was unsatisfied with something she had made, she'd insist on redoing it, even if I was perfectly happy with it. She had many admirers, and they'd always fill up the first few rows of seats, hoping they could get closer to her sitting in the first row. If it were any of my other classes, you'd have found nobody sitting in the front. But every time I saw her, she was always in that same rigid pose. She'd have one hand on her forehead with the other clutching her pencil. Her eyebrows would be knitted in a frown as she concentrated on the blueprint in front of her.
I'm sure she had many difficult moments in her life. How did she cope with the stress?
I'm not too sure. She never talked about such things with me. She rarely opened up to other people, you know. I do remember one time, though, when she got into a heated argument with a friend. She said something I found very memorable. She said, "True art cannot be understood, but as an artist, I wish some people could understand its meaning and value." If you ask me, that's probably the greatest source of pain for geniuses of their craft. It's extremely hard for them to find someone who can truly understand their ideas.
So that's how it is. I wonder if the password could be...
Verständnis?
I tried both just now. Seems those aren't it either.
What are you trying to do?
My mother left her notebook to me, but it has a password and I haven't figured out what it is yet. I'm trying to learn more about her so I'd have a better chance at cracking the code. Thank you for all that you told us.
It's the least I can do. Talking to youngsters like yourself makes me feel younger too. Honestly, looking at you now, I can see how much you resemble her. It's almost as if she's standing right in front of me again. Your personalities are quite alike, too. You're both stubborn and both a little awkward. Of course, I'm sure the similarities are mostly superficial. But so long as you continue to harbor those traits, you'll find a lot of difficulties in your work. I've taught a lot of students over my career, and in my experience, very few genius architects of Ksharawar ever found happiness for themselves. They would know exactly what they want to express and fight for it tooth and nail, which inevitably led to arguments with their clients. Some clients would choose to respect the architect's vision or just let the argument go because of the architect's reputation, but those are the rare ones. When Farnak first graduated, she was getting into arguments with her clients nearly every single day. I think it only got a little better when she met your father.
I see. But could he understand the designs my mother made?
No, I think they were probably beyond him, too. But despite that, he still stayed next to her, listening to her joys and sharing in her sorrows. Farnak had many admirers, but she ended up choosing your father. His support probably played a part in that decision.
So instead of understanding, perhaps all we need is just companionship.
Vielleicht ist das genau das, was sie dir sagen wollte.
It worked!
Nice.
Oh, was that the right password?
Yes!
Then you should be on your way, child. find a quiet place and see what she wanted to say to you. Being the awkward person that she is, I suppose there were many things that Faranek could never say out loud. Instead, she probably left them in her diary, hoping that they would make their way to you one day. If you're ever in a mood to chat again, just come and find me here. You're always welcome to discuss architecture topics with me as well.
Thank you so much, Professor.
There's no need to be so formal. I'll let you kids go. It's time for me to take another stroll around the vegetable garden.
I wonder what my mother could have written about.
They all say Zaha Hadid's class is the toughest, but I think it's actually not too bad. On the other hand, though, structural mechanics is definitely a pain, no matter how you try to approach it. I doubled down and managed to get through it in the end. I met someone special. At first, I didn't think much of him, but now, I feel very happy whenever I get to spend time with him. We decided to name our son Kaveh. I don't think a younger me would have ever imagined forming such an intimate bond with another person. Back then, I lived only in the shadow of myself, as well as that of the dream in my heart. The bad news came. And even though it's been several days now, I still can't bring myself to come to terms with what happened. My eyes are so swollen, it's hard to see. What if they're all lying to me? And this is just a long, cruel dream. But I have to face reality. I still have someone to take care of. No matter what happens, I'll do my best to raise my son on my own.
Huh? Is this a drawing? Seems like it was done by my mother.
Oh mein Gott. Das erinnert mich sehr an 4 Gestalten, die wir jetzt aus Sumeru kennen.
This blonde man was probably my father, but who are the other people in the picture? Huh? Why do a few of them look somewhat familiar?
Stimmt schon.
From the dates in the notebook, she probably drew this more than 30 years ago. I hadn't even been born yet. Maybe we were thinking too much. Oh, there are a few lines written in the diary about this as well.
The one who invited us to the gathering is a talkative woman. Including us, 3 couples showed up. There was also a person who came alone. The talkative woman introduced everyone to each other. She spoke really quickly, so I couldn't quite catch everything she said, but I also didn't feel like asking her to repeat herself. My husband seems to be friends with the man with long ears. I couldn't really join their conversation, so I've resigned myself to sitting in a corner and drawing in my notebook. I don't think I'd be able to become friends with any of these people, especially that stiff-looking couple. That man is certainly very handsome, but he would constantly alternate between disjointed and serious ways of talking. His wife is a bit more bearable. We were not acquainted with each other to begin with, and I doubt we'll see each other again after this gathering. The ambiance of this gathering is surprisingly pleasant, however. Talking to people can allow us to find some peace after a long day. Maybe my son will also partake in these gatherings in the future. I hope he'll be able to make many friends.
Who would have thought my mother used to attend that kind of thing? It seemed she was only good at talking about her own work, and found it difficult to join into other conversations. As a result, she often kept to herself and would be off to the side, drawing. There's more written on the back. Oh, it seems like it was written to me.
Kaveh. I was both overjoyed and distressed when I learned of your decision to continue your studies in Kasharwar. You are very talented, and I am confident that you will become an architect of much acclaim. However, the more talented you are as an artist, the more misery and anguish you may encounter. No one will be able to help you during your journey as an artist. But outside of your life as a creator, you can learn to form connections with other people and enjoy many other things in life. It's the only way to alleviate your suffering. Whenever you feel down, seek out a friend to sit and have a chat. You can accumulate joy and fulfillment by spending time with them. The positive feelings you gain will get you through the long and difficult years. Never forget that companionship is the most important thing of all.
So that's the answer she prepared for me. She really thought long and hard about me and my future. Well, now that I've read her words, do you think I should accept Tainari's invite and attend that dinner at Pardis Di?
Denkst du so wirklich daran, diese Einladung abzulehnen?
The thought definitely crossed my mind. Although it'd be nice to get together with friends and chat the night away, I don't want to bring down other people's moods because I'm sad.
No.
Besides, don't most people hate the feeling of seeing their friends troubled and being unable to help? And what's worse, nearly all of my problems can't be easily resolved with some encouraging words or gesture. And don't forget, I'm also older than all of them. As their senior, I should appear to be a bit more responsible.
Mach dir doch nicht so einen Kopf. Aber es ist doch normal, dass Freunde sich gegenseitig helfen.
You're not wrong, but I keep feeling like I haven't really helped them much in return.
Das stimmt nicht. Es ist immer ein Vergnügen, mit dir zu sprechen, Kaveh.
Wait, do you mean it? You're not making fun of me, are you? I've gotten so used to sarcasm that I can't tell what's genuinely a compliment anymore. Wait, by fun, did you mean... You know what, I'm not going to overthink it. I'll see you tomorrow at Pardis Di.
Definitiv. So. Auf geht's. Na, guck mal, wer da schon sitzt. Oder steht vielmehr.
Alhaitham also got my invite, right? Will he be coming to join us?
That guy? He's never been a fan of social gatherings. I wouldn't get my hopes up if I were you.
Are you sure? All right then. I guess we won't wait for him.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, maybe we should give him a little more time. We can keep chatting for a while longer.
Oh, sure.
You still haven't told me, what's the occasion for getting us together here at Pardis Di?
We're celebrating the end of the first phase of Kaveh's studies. I wanted to thank you all for the help you've given her along the way.
Then where's Kaveh?
She said she wanted to show everyone a bit of what she's learned, so she's still doing some last-minute prep at home. She'll be here shortly. Anyway, let's get started. To tell you the truth, I'm actually not so confident that the second phase will go as well as the first. The curriculum will become a lot more involved, and I'm worried that she won't be able to get through all of it. I was hoping we could brainstorm about it together before she gets here.
I knew this wouldn't be just a simple free dinner. Is that why you also invited Alhaitham?
Yes, I thought it would be good if we could all put our heads together about this. Anyway, let's take a quick trip down memory lane. What did you guys do when you ran into a problem that you didn't know how to solve? Or got assigned a project that you knew you weren't going to finish on time?
Never happened to me.
I'd just pull another all-nighter.
You two are hopeless. Does anyone have a more useful answer to the question?
Vielleicht sollte das Lerntempo angepasst werden?
Ooh, that's a good point. Confidence is the most important thing. Once you lose your sense of confidence, it'll become all but impossible to find the motivation to study.
This could be a potential direction. I have already redesigned the literacy curriculum, and I was originally hoping to ask Alhaitham for his opinion, but...
It's very simple. Instead of focusing on the amount of material you would like to teach, focus on the amount the student would be able to remember.
Wow, you actually showed up. I could probably count the number of times you've actually come to gatherings like this on just one hand.
It's still more than the number of times you've managed to get a proposal approved on the first try.
Aua.
As long as you're still aware. So, what made the difference this time? Are you looking to drink your sorrows away with some friends?
That's your purpose for being here, not mine. Don't project your ways of thinking onto me.
So you're saying the only reason you came is to help Tainari with his brainstorming?
Precisely. Kale will have a long road in front of her.
Hey, just to get one thing clear. Even if Kale manages to make her way to the academia, we cannot let her enroll in Haravatat.
Oh no.
Ksharawar is obviously the best choice for her. She's been a trainee forest ranger for so long, she'll definitely be good with her hands.
What are you saying? Spontamad is the better choice. It's where I graduated from, after all.
Then what about Amorta? That's the darshan her master actually graduated from.
There are only 2 other Darshans left. We might as well select all of them on her enrollment application.
I'm trying to have a serious discussion here. Traveler, you aren't associated with any of the 6 darshans. In your opinion, which darshan would be the best choice for Kale?
Also erstmal lasst das arme Kind doch selber entscheiden. Und zweitens denke ich, sie sollte erstmal die zweite Lernphase überstehen.
Well said.
Agreed. And my goal in inviting you here was to gather some thoughts on the execution of this second phase.
Phase 2 far exceeds Phase 1 in both curriculum complexity and the speed of instruction. I hope Kale has prepared herself for what is coming.
Hey, what are you thinking now? Please don't tell me you're planning on lending her those abstruse books from your home library.
Actually, I was thinking about lending her a professions guide.
I'll make sure to write, "Don't become an architect" on the front page of that.
Aber Kaveh, du magst doch deine Arbeit als Architekt, oder?
You're right. I can't deny that.
Is there another phase after Phase 2? What's the ultimate goal of all of this? Are we trying to prepare her for a job in the academia?
We don't need to think that far ahead. Hold that thought, though. I think my vegetables are done.
I'm telling you, that client had no idea what he was talking about. No matter what I did, he had something bad to say about it.
Yep, ist betrunken.
Have you considered finding another client?
They're all the same. I haven't had a good night's sleep for months now. Who do they think they are, ordering me to alter my design over and over again just because they have some mora?
It's too late now to change careers. You might as well try to find some joy in the pain. Besides, you'll be getting up in the middle of the night to make edits to your own design even when the client doesn't request it.
No. That's not true.
Cheer up, Kaveh. I'll tell you a new joke.
We'll save that for the end, Sino. You can keep it to yourself until then.
Whatever. I'm not going to use my brain anymore. Let's drink tonight to our heart's content.
Oh mein Gott, das ist schön. Ich liebe dieses Bild so sehr. Okay, das war's dann mit dem ersten Ende. Muss mal gucken, wie viel es eigentlich noch gibt. Und ja, wir werden, ich denke mal nicht, dass ich jeden Anfang nochmal spielen werde. Aber dass man halt so weiß, wo ich die Gabelungen gemacht habe. Ach, ich liebe dieses Hangout-Event jetzt schon. Ich bin gespannt, was sich da noch rausfinden lässt. So, da sind wir schon beim zweiten Versuch. Also ich hoffe, dass es der zweite Versuch ist. Ich hatte ja die Wahl, ob ich mit Kaveh die Sache weiter untersuche und wir dann eben die alte Professorin von Kavehs Mutter dann gefunden haben. Oder ob ich die Sachen beiseite lege erstmal. Und ich glaube, wir werden jetzt das zweite tun, in der Hoffnung, dass es ein anderes Outcome gibt. Let's see.
Yeah, you're right. Although I was hoping to find some words of wisdom from my mother, if I stop and think about it, her words may not be the advice that I need to hear right at this moment. Everyone's life journey is different. Traveler, you've visited many lands and met many people, so I'm sure you've run into situations where some advice wasn't exactly suitable for the situation at hand. Ah, I just got an idea though. If I want to rekindle the creative passion that I had before, instead of trying to unlock an old notebook, why don't I take a walk around the parts of town that had changed my life? What do you think?
Klingt gut.
I'm glad you agree. Then let's start by taking a quick stroll around the Academia.
Gut, auf jeden Fall ein anderer Zweig. So, da sind wir schon im Palast von Dana. Der macht mich tatsächlich immer so ein bisschen glücklich, gerade was halt so Kaveh anbelangt, weil hier hat man ihn das erste Mal getroffen.
Of all the places in the Academia, I remember this one most. When my studies got busy, I used to pull all-nighters here trying to finish my blueprints.
Klingt, als würdest du diese Zeit sehr vermissen.
Who doesn't miss their time at the Academia? Life was a lot simpler then, and we all had far less troubles. I created many designs that I thought were beautiful in the House of Dana. I drew whatever came to mind, since I didn't have to care about budget constraints or turning them into reality.
Warum kamst du gerne in den Palast, Dana-Palast umzuentwerfen? Oh mein Gott.
If I had to give a reason, it'd probably be because I like the ambiance here. The Academia also had a rule that allowed scholars to annotate any physical books they came across. As a result, the books here are chock full of scholars' wisdom across many generations.
Ah. Ich glaube, da hinten war's. Wo wir nach Al-Haytham gesucht haben, nach der Sumeru-Quest. Und dann Kaveh aufgetaucht ist. Ab da wusste ich schon, dass ich ihn unbedingt pullen will.
Oh, here, this is a great example. This book, History of Ancient Sumeru Architecture, contains some analysis that I did many years ago. Huh? Why is Al-Haytham's handwriting also in here? When did he ever read this book? I guess it's probably from when we worked on that research project together. Anyway, he probably never cared to tell you this, but the House of Dana is where Al-Haytham and I first met. I came here to do my homework, and saw him sitting by himself next to that row of bookshelves. A group of Haravatat scholars were chatting near him, but he looked as if he was too lazy to join them. There was a pretty stark difference between him and all the rest of them. It was my fault for feeling bad for him. I thought he must have gotten into some kind of trouble and went over to ask if he needed anything, not realizing that...
Not realizing that you were in fact the one in a whole heap of trouble?
Al-Haytham? Why are you here?
The House of Dana is a public space. Anyone can come here, no?
But shouldn't you be at the records room at this hour? You're not here to watch me make a fool of myself, are you?
You think I would derive amusement from watching you fall into depression over your life's various troubles? If that's the case, then I suppose I must have been entertaining myself for years. I came here to pick up a few files. If your voice hadn't managed to get through my soundproof earpieces, I probably wouldn't have noticed you.
All right, I admit I was probably overreacting just now.
Und wie geht die Geschichte weiter?
Probably not when he's right here with us. As his senior, I shouldn't try to tarnish his reputation.
There was nothing embarrassing or shameful about it. When I was still a student at the Academia, I once collaborated with Kaveh on a research project. A collaboration is usually beneficial for all parties, but due to issues with our personalities, we ended up going our separate ways before completing the project. We had a number of differences, and they remain unresolved even today. But there's no point going into that right now. The more important question is, why are you at the House of Dana?
Naja, also Kaveh fühlt sich gerade ein bisschen.
As a senior scholar, isn't it my responsibility to offer my friend a quick tour and explanation of the Academia's architecture?
I see. Then let me guess. Your next stop will be the pavilions around Razan Garden? Our famed architect sure loves showing off that corner to all his friends. Oh, and Kaveh, a lot of the books you annotated have been moved to the innermost section of that bookshelf over there. You'll have to dig them out yourself if you need to find them.
Huh? But why would you know that? Don't tell me you finally had an epiphany and realized that there's great virtue in respecting your elder's work.
Sure, if that will give you some self-confidence. Leave any words of thanks you may have to the ex-Grand Conservator. The last time he was here, he was complaining that he had received reports from current students. The main grievance being that the annotations are too long and difficult to read. As a result, the books you annotated have been moved to the back shelves.
What? But all of my annotations were extremely important. Instead of reporting me, they should have been thanking me for my service. The notes that I took, they couldn't have asked for a better analysis of those books. Okay, just you wait. I'm going to fix this right now. I'll dig all the books out and return them to the proper shelves.
Oh, we'll wait.
Uns bleibt nichts anderes als zu warten.
Anyway, you were about to say he's feeling a bit down?
Kürzlich wurde er von einem besonders schwierigen Auftraggeber gequält.
Put through the ringer. What an interesting phrase. I assume he used those exact words himself?
Ist das nicht so?
He probably did suffer quite a bit, that's true. He always spends a lot of time editing his proposals, with the goal of satisfying as many of the client's preferences as possible. But the satisfaction of one client will not translate to general satisfaction with his work. Many problems in life can only be solved by a fundamental change of attitude. As the leading genius of Ksharawar, Kaveh should have both the right and the confidence to reject any unreasonable demands. There are plenty of architects in Sumeru who are inferior to him in skill, yet far more irascible in temperament. What's more, there are plenty of people who look up to such individuals as paragons of staying true to one's principles.
Wo liegt nur das Problem?
Clearly, his predicament is inevitable, since he holds other people's feelings as more important than his own. Of course, each person is different, and we should respect the paths that they have chosen for themselves. Admonitions will serve no purpose. People tend to succumb to familiar pitfalls, and this is especially true for those who believe it's their duty to carry more burdens on their shoulders.
Looks like you were having an enjoyable chat while I was gone. Were you talking about me by any chance?
Ja.
What do you think?
What else is there to talk about? Surely no one would be interested in talking about the files that you were browsing through earlier. Anyway, you should take a look at this. Look at this comment on page 82. Dear Kaveh, thank you so much for annotating this book in such detail. It was a great help to me. See that? Now that's how a student should treat their seniors.
And it looks like you're already in a much better mood now. It really doesn't take much to make you happy, huh?
Me happy? I'm mocking that retired blockhead for being so full of himself. He understands nothing about the true beauty of architecture. When I can find some time, I'll have a serious talk with him about making sure these books are put where they belong.
Why don't you just move all the books yourself? It's not like he hasn't cursed you out before. What was that nickname he gave you while you were in the academia? The Urchin of Ksharawar?
Warum?
Kaveh had a habit of scribbling and writing in all kinds of books.
Oh,
Hey!
makes me think.
You didn't need to bring that up. At least not when I'm still standing here. Oh, actually, I also found a really old sketch in one of the books over there. See? Doesn't it remind you of something?
Ich verstehe nicht so ganz.
Huh? Don't tell me even you don't get it.
Don't ask me. This is the time you specifically put aside to brag about yourself. Feel free to hoard all the spotlight you want.
You... In that case, allow me to explain. Although this sketch is a little abstract, You can plainly see from the road plans that this was an original concept for the expansion of Port Ormos.
We can also plainly see that the designer was a huge fan of this project. It's the project he loves to talk about the most, second to the Palace of Alcazarzaray.
If I don't keep bringing up the neat projects that I've done, how would anyone know that I was the one who did them in the first place? There shouldn't be any complaints about Port Ormos. If I remember correctly, the construction process was very smooth, everything was made ready ahead of time, and there were very few safety concerns.
There are indeed no records of any complaints about this project. A most impressive achievement.
See? What did I tell you? Come on, let's take a stroll through Port Ormos next. I'll tell you all about the designs I made for the place.
Alhaitham, kommst du mit?
No need. It's almost time to clock out for the day, and I don't intend on bringing any unfinished work home.
Suit yourself. It's not like you know how to appreciate artistry anyway. Let's go, traveler. I'll take you to Port Ormos.
Sightseeing mit Kaveh, woo! Okay, tschüss Alhaitham.
Port Ormos.
Welches Gebäude hier wurde von dir entworfen?
No, I didn't design any one specific building. Most of my work here concerned structural renovation. Port Ormos had already existed since I was still a young child. It wasn't as large as it is now, though. It only came to its current size after a sizable expansion. I was part of that project. The arch bridge over there, for example, that was one of my designs.
Wie kamst du auf die Idee dazu?
When I was first tasked with the project, I decided to reference the growth patterns of nearby trees to split Port Ormos into 2 levels. My goal was to improve the overall utilization of space. We ran into a lot of issues during construction, but thankfully, we were still able to achieve the original vision. Residents can now behold all the ships entering and leaving the harbor from the vantage point of the bridge, while visitors can recognize the site of Port Ormos from a long ways away. I was still young and new to the trade back then. I could hardly believe that an idea in my head could become reality and remain in the world for many years to come. The true cornerstone of the creative process. The point about the design that will be ultimately used to judge its true worth. It was the first time that it became crystal clear in my mind. Once built, a building will continue to stand. Countless people will see it, and countless more will step inside it. Its final worth, whether it's good or bad, will be assessed by the countless generations of people that interact with the building during their lives.
Das ist sehr beeindruckend.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. But even with this project, I still had one small regret. My budget was tight, and I was unable to use the higher quality timber I had originally intended for the design. I knew that some concessions on aesthetics would be needed as soon as I agreed to a proposal that prioritized the practical functions of the project. Us creative types know better than anyone that most projects cannot be completed without a few regrets. Even the Palace of Alcazarzaray was not perfect.
Bedauern selbst ist auch eine Hoffnung für die Zukunft.
Yeah, you're right. I should learn to look toward future opportunities and believe that any regrets I have can be overcome in time. We've spent long enough here. There's still one last place I want to go, but it's a little far. Would you be interested in a quick trip to the desert?
Ja, kein Problem. Noch mehr Sightseeing mit Kaveh.
Great. Most of my projects over the last few years have had something to do with the desert, partially because there's a special place there that I often visit. This is a rare opportunity, so why don't you come along and see it for yourself? If you ever feel down, maybe you'll be able to go there and feel better too.
Oh. Dann lauf in die Wüste.
I've thought that so many primal constructs could have congregated here while I was gone. We won't be able to sit and talk peacefully with these guys around. Let's clear the area.
Okay, Kaveh-Testbook? Anschauen. Sekunde, ich möchte wissen, welche Constellation. Damit hätte ich eine Constellation mehr als bei meinem Kaveh. Ach Mann. Jetzt hab ich noch das Team dabei? Ja, ein bisschen.
Delve into destiny. Fate is upon you.
Also für Leute, die es nicht wissen, Kaveh spezialisiert sich auf die Sprouts. und kann die platzen lassen, was wir gleich sehen werden. Ja, ein bisschen mehr Arbeit.
Sight clear.
Lässt die halt Platz. Eigentlich bräuchte ich dafür einen besseren Heilungsschlag.
Shadows of Fate.
Das geht schon.
Come at me.
Und was auch noch ziemlich cool ist bei Kaveh, wenn diese Sprouts ihn
Let me
treffen,
scry.
dann
Don't be scared!
heilt es sich selbst.
Scanning.
Das ist so ein bisschen schwierig, das
Fate is
ja,
upon you.
gut umzusetzen mit dem Shogun. Weil es eben alles super sprossen wird. Vielleicht mache ich dann nochmal einen richtigen Kaveh-Run.
Isn't this place great? I often come here to clear my mind when I'm dealing with a difficult situation. You know what I mean. Everyone finds themselves in frustrating situations once in a while. Just take me as an example. My family life got shaken up quite a bit when I was young. I struggled in school, and I got into a huge pile of debt building the Palace of Alcazarzaray. Although Alhaitham thinks that it's because of my personality that I continue to live in the shadow of the past, I think it's also just a part of life. Plus, if I look back, I've honestly had my fair share of good luck as well. You could probably say I followed in the path of my mother. Like her, I've gained a name for myself as an architect, built something that's seen as my magnum opus, and found many projects that others have entrusted to me to finish.
Und deine Leidenschaft für das Leben hast du auch nicht verloren.
Life is too boring when you live with no enthusiasm and passion. Only those who believe in the inherent meaning of it can capture the small nuances of everyday life and turn them into inspiration for beautiful designs. Of course, I will concede that loving something also means taking it to heart. So to an extent, caring is also a source of pain. If I didn't love my work, I wouldn't be so torn up about it all the time. But still, isn't this place beautiful? Despite the erosion from the winds and changing seasons, you can still perceive its past beauty and glory. With different landforms come different architectural styles. The desert's history has left it with few records regarding its buildings, so I often visit the desert to investigate things in person. The sight here has moved me ever since the first time I laid my eyes on it. I told myself that one day, I would also be able to create buildings that move others. My pain will one day fade into nothing, just as I reach the end of my life. But buildings are different. They are far more valuable than most materialistic things, and far more durable than human flesh. As long as there remain souls in the world who can decipher the meaning behind them, they will also have acknowledged me across the vast stream of time. If you were to ask me what art is, that would be my answer.
Jetzt bist du mehr wie der Kaveh, den ich kenne.
You think so? But I feel I've always been like this. Remember that question I brought up before? The one about whether I should see art as a divine gift of inspiration from the gods, or as a product of my own existential struggle? I still haven't found an answer to that yet. But if art wasn't inherently paradoxical and enigmatic, then people probably wouldn't be drawn to it. Those who pursue art will be unable to avoid the pain that it naturally brings. Will often be floating on cloud 9 one second and sinking in a mire the next. I'll try gathering my thoughts again once I've found a way to define art in the first place. In any case, thank you so much for listening to everything I had to say.
Sehr gern. Ach, schön. Ich mag das Hangout so sehr. Eines Tages, wenn mein Leben vorbeizieht, wird mein Leiden sicherlich spurlos verschwinden, aber meine Werke werden für immer in der Welt bleiben. Ich glaube, das ist auch so ein großer Beweggrund für Architekten, soweit, wie soll ich sagen, das Ziel hinauszuschießen. Wenn man sich allein schon sowas anguckt und man weiß, dass das in 200 Jahren immer noch da ist und man selbst hat es quasi geschaffen, hat schon was. So, ich habe mich aber tatsächlich doch entschlossen, das Hangout-Event ein bisschen aufzuteilen, weil wir jetzt schon bei gut 1,5 Stunden Rohmaterial sind. es ist auf jeden Fall ein sehr umfangreiches Hangout-Event, worüber ich sehr, sehr froh bin. Ich hatte auch andere Hangout-Events, die waren bei weitem nicht so lang, nicht so umfangreich. Aber bitte lasst mich in Ruhe. Vielleicht sollte ich da nicht rumlaufen. Und ja, ich bin gespannt tatsächlich, was jetzt die anderen Enden noch sind. Die letzten 3 sind, glaube ich, insgesamt 5. Machen wir dann komplett in der nächsten Folge, weil ich da einfach den Anfang nicht nochmal spielen muss. In dem Sinne, vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bye bye.